Eligibility is actually based on two primary criteria: income and assets.
Okay.
One of the other most common criteria of Medicaid qualification is age. We have to be 65 or older. But there are also stipulations under Medicaid rules that if you're blind or disabled, you can qualify as well.
And when you're talking about disabled, that could be physically disabled, mentally disabled?
You have to be declared disabled by a doctor.
So basically an incapacitated person?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And something that you'd be familiar with your legal practice.
Right. A lot is in guardianships that I do where there might be, even though the parent might not necessarily need a guardianship for a child under 18, but if that child is incapacitated in a certain way, they'd be entitled to Medicaid benefits. Is that right?
Correct. And
Okay.
typically where you'll see the failing marks for someone to be disqualified from Medicaid or not be able to acquire it would be in the income or asset categories. They're making too much money in their retirement, or they have too many assets or too much money.
So let's go down the list that you gave us for the eligibility. We've talked about age, we've talked about income, and we've talked about assets. So what about citizenship?
Citizenship, we all know what citizenship is. In some cases you can have a green card. Residency is established by living in the state one day. Well, what's been happening with the parents? The parents have been moving, demographically speaking, to where the children live.
Yes.
So they might be moving from Iowa to Texas, or some other state where the kids are, because the kids want to take care of the parents. So that person at that point would go from Iowa rules to Texas rules.
Even
for
after
Medicaid,
1 day?
After 1 day.
Wow.
And that is because Medicaid follows the client?
Well, in other cases, if they have Medicaid, yes, but then the rules of that state apply. Or in the event they haven't applied yet, they only need to reside in that state for 1 day.
We want to stay in Texas, though, when we're talking about this stuff.
No, this is all based on Texas. And I think one of the things that Mary just said, where Medicaid follows the client, let's call them, or the consumer, I think you'll get into that a little more in a bit. But my question would be, if you're getting Medicaid in Iowa and you come to Texas, do you automatically qualify, or you have to reapply pursuant to Texas law?
You know, that's a gray area, but if you're already on Medicaid, the assumption is you would just file an application with the state of Texas and continue your benefits, but you're going to do that ahead of time. But we don't see a lot of that once that's transferred. We see them coming into the state, then applying for Medicaid. Yeah,
okay.
Because when you get to that point, you need that care.
All right. What about the last one on the list that I think we had talked about was compliance?
Compliance is a big issue. Medicaid even does an annual reassessment of your situation every year that you're on Medicaid. So, for example, we recently had a case where the nursing home participant, she was in a bed and she'd been there 13 years in that home, and her checking account went over the maximum allowable. And so Medicaid sent her a letter saying that she was disqualified. Wow. So Medicaid compliance continues even after the fact. Medicaid uses compliance as a way to get people off the rolls, so as to conserve assets.